Hey guys, how's it going? Kevin Cleary here with a discussion-ish video for you about my knife maintenance. Now, this is not knife maintenance. This is just related to the company that I want to give a shout out to in this video. This is also from them. These are both from Bushcraft Supply. They sent them to me to check out, and I wanted to take that opportunity to talk about stropping your knife. I will give this some testing outdoors. I have tested it. It strikes pretty well, you can see, but in the winter, I do ski patrol as sort of a side hustle, and that keeps me really, really busy. So I'm rarely outside without wearing a pair of skis. And that just means I haven't been outside to play in the woods as much as I normally would be. Now, I do still maintain all of my knives with regularity, and so I did want to share a little bit of stropping. Not about I guess I want to share, not me stropping, but a little bit about stropping and the value of it, especially if you're new to knives. You may have done quite a bit of research, or you may have done quite a bit of or you may know a little bit more about sharpening and know some of the systems that are out there. But where you might be missing the boat is perhaps you're ending up having to sharpen too often because you're not maintaining your knives well. And a great way to maintain your edge is to strop. This I find especially useful for myself because, as you guys know, I have quite a decent collection of knives, which means I don't have to use a knife. You know, I might carry a knife one day and then 2 weeks go by or 3 weeks go by before I carry that knife again. So my knives hold an edge for a long, long time because they don't get as much frequency of use, right? I use a knife an awful lot, but when you're switching out knives that often, that one particular knife doesn't get used. So oftentimes I have knives where they don't need to be sharpened, but they could be touched up just a little, and that's where a strop comes in. If you're using your knife all the time, especially chefs have a completely different approach to this. If you're like in a chef's kitchen or something, you may have to be stropping more than once a day. But for most of us who have regular use on our knives, if you strop your knife, your EDC knife, if you've just got the one, once a week, twice a week to keep an edge on it, that will help the performance of your knife over time. It will help it to stay sharp a little longer. And overall, I think you just get more enjoyment out of it. So stropping is pretty basic stuff. We're just going to take the knife, we're going to match close to the angle of the secondary bevel, and we're just going to run it back and forth. Now I'm like the tripod is in my way, so I'm sorry guys, I can't do a proper stropping sort of stroke here. But you're just going to gently go back and forth. You don't want to put a ton of pressure on. You just kind of want to get the angle right and run it back and forth, and you'll be amazed at the difference that this can make. Now you guys are probably recognizing this knife as the Lion Steel M4, which happens to be one of my favorite knives, and I can tell you that I used this knife to skin out my deer this year, and while I was processing that meat down, guess what? I did strop it a couple of times through the process, and it does make a difference. I should have, now when I started this video, guys, I had this idea that I would cut a piece of paper and show that this is cutting paper, but not super well. All I can say is you're gonna have to take my word for it that this knife was not amazingly, hair popping sharp when I started, but we should see a difference. Now, sadly, you're not going to see the difference because I tested the knife off camera and forgot to do it again. But if you're watching this video and you really don't believe what I'm saying, I mean, just click off. Who cares? Why would you keep watching if you don't believe me anyway? If I'm not an honest guy, then you shouldn't bother watching. So here we are running this thing back and forth over our strop. You're going to want to spend a little bit of time with this, and you can go, so what I've got is coarser compound on this side, and I'm not counting because normally I would count the number of strokes, but because I'm talking to you guys, I thought, well, I'll just do it till it kind of feels right. Let's see if I've made any difference here. So it's shaving hair off my arm reasonably well. I'll show you the cut I made a couple of minutes ago in this paper. You can see it's okay, but it wasn't ideal. Oh yeah, and that stropping has definitely made a difference, guys. You can, if I was smart enough to record this video the way I intended, you guys would be able to see it better. This side is where I ripped the paper in half, thinking I'd get away with it, but the rips kind of catch and don't. There we go. It's not as easy as it should be. Anyway, I've only done sort of this coarse stropping, so you can actually go to a higher level than this. The other side of this strop I have with a finer polish. And so we'll switch to that in the end and get even a finer edge. Now I just want to throw a couple of things out there, sort of a word to the wise. If you're buying a strop from a knife place, you know, this, as I say, this came from Bushcraft Supply, and I'll put a link to that down below. I believe you'll be able to find compound there as well. If you go and buy like Jeweler's Rouge, you know, there's a lot. Now, like a lot of these are made in China and they're made to various specifications. Just keep in mind that certain polishes will be designed for like silver and gold, which are quite soft, and they're not going to have much impact on the edge of, you know, your M390, you know, 65 Rockwell hardness knife. Since I'm kind of doing this here, let's turn this guy over. And so this is the finer compound now that we've switched to. But what I was saying was, be careful about when you're buying your compound, where you're getting it. Pay a little bit of attention, because there's some compound out there that probably won't work that well on knives. If you can, just buy everything from the same place, right? You're buying it all from a knife store, then you kind of know, and the store is making some effort, I'm hoping, to sell you good stuff. I have to tell you, with this tripod in the way, don't model my method of stropping, because with this tripod in the way, I'm having a really hard time hitting the tip of the knife properly. And I'm actually, probably after I come off of this, yeah, so the blade, I can feel I made such a big difference, but out here at the tip I haven't done a great job, just because you can see where I'm kind of pulling off early so I don't run into the tripod every time. Anyway, I'm going to call it quits with that. You've had a little demonstration. It's a really good habit to get into. I will throw this back in. This is just a fire steel that also came from Bushcraft Supply, David Oxford. I want to thank him for sending this stuff out to me. I will make a video where I show you guys that this does work pretty well and provide a further recommendation for Bushcraft Supply. But at this moment, it is quite cold outside. And as I say, I mentioned earlier in the video that I do some ski patrol in the winter, which really ties up my spare time. My boss over at the Hill allows me to work part-time, but the expectation is that I'll do my best to be there when needed. And so I do that. And of course, it's great. I get to ski and I get to get paid for it. But it also means I don't end up with much spare time. So there you go, guys. Thanks a lot for watching. Please bear with me. I will get a video. I've got a couple of fixed blades that I want to do, and you know I do those outdoors as well, and it's just taking me a lot longer than usual to get outside and spend any time with it. But I will do that, I promise you. I'm going to sign off so I can get this tripod out of the way and finish properly stropping my my knife, so I can get the tip as nice as I've got the rest of the blade with this tripod out of the way. So there you go, guys. Thanks for watching. Hope that wasn't too boring for you. I highly recommend you pick up a strop. If you get it over at Bushcraft Supply, that would be great. Let them know that I sent you over there, just so that they understand that, hey, this video wasn't a complete waste of time for them. And otherwise, you know, you can make your own strop. There's lots of places you can get them. Make sure the compound is decent. And I think if you're, you know, I'm telling you, you will experience a benefit from regular stropping, which is better performance from your knives and longer periods of time between sharpening. So there you go. Thanks a lot for watching. We'll talk to you soon.